If it's knowledge, humour, or a different perspective that you seek, look for the wisdom in the words that we speak. Words and wisdom. We'll let you decide. Hello and welcome to Words and Wisdom. I think this was my bit, Zach, and we're back, we're ready, we're going. Hello, how do you do? Today's episode is going to be a special episode. We're going to take some questions that we've been given through our Instagram page, was it?
Yeah, through a couple of Instagram followers. Kai Williams.
Kai Williams, yeah. What a guy.
What
beautiful.
a legend,
it's been a really nice journey, this man, because I've been going to the gym, little walks around Ripley, and people have been stopping and being like, hey, I've been seeing that little podcast you're doing, guys. Keep it up, doing well.
Yeah, so nice. So yeah, keep feeding our egos. Compliments.
Just tell us how great we are. We just need to know.
We need it. So yeah, we've got some questions from good old Kai Williams. Some brilliant questions as well. So we've got 5 to get through.
I think we've got this, mate.
Yeah, we've got this.
You read them out beforehand, and I thought these are stunning questions.
Okay, guys. So also, if you have any questions that you want us to answer, maybe you're going through some trials and tribulations in life, you need some help and some unregistered, unprofessional advice. Let's just put that out there, disclaimer: we are not professional psychiatrists.
We are literally two lads trying their absolute bloody best at life, and scrambling around on the way. But
yes.
we've done
so if there's anything we can help you with along this journey, please let us know. Get in touch.
Come scramble with us.
Yeah, come scramble with us. Get in touch. Share, like, subscribe, and obviously compliment us in the streets. That's where we like to be complimented.
Are we not asking for nudes anymore then?
I usually leave that till the end.
Yeah,
loosen them up a little bit. Get them ready and giving.
Hitting them with knowledge bombs first.
Yeah, give them something before ask for something.
Yeah, that's
it's part of sales.
Good advice again.
Right, so the first question. Any advice for balancing drinking with training, especially in teenage years? By training, I think he means working out. In teenage years, where it is viewed as fun to get completely smashed and almost always expected.
Do you know what? I heard that, and it took me back to when I was 17, 18, and me and Jagger went away together for a year to Australia. And when I went to Emerald, that's town in the middle of nowhere, the arsehole of the universe, I call it, we ended up just really smashing training. And it was a podcast I got into. It was probably my first ever podcast before Rogan days and all that. It was Ben Coomber, who I've recently got in contact with, and he was really nice back.
Fitness guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I love it. Oh, a really load of respect for him. He's a nice fella.
You and your fitness enthusiasm. You never say that about me.
I know how big your ego is, though. I don't want to keep feeding that.
Yeah, it's rather large.
Please. But I got in touch with him. He was doing similar things like Q&As, and he started doing special episodes where they read out. And I never got into one before. So when I got a message back saying we're going to do yours on the next episode, I was like, oh, it's happening. And my question while I was in Australia was what do you do when you're traveling? Because it's really hard to get a quick fix meal. And it's too easy to get a quick fix meal, sorry. You're just getting little, do you know them nut bars? Full of sugar, nuts, fat, nothing else. Quick one of them. Always traveling, and I was always drinking, going out, having a good time. So I asked Ben about it, and he just gave a really nice, detailed answer. So this is part of it.
So if we just copy and paste what he said...
but it was something that literally fed me what I needed at that time, because I was panicking all the time. I was worrying about my physique. I was worrying constantly about I'm not going to be able to fit in the protein for the day and all this. But he just literally said, listen, relax. You're young, you're 18, you're doing your life, you're traveling, you're exploring, you're meeting people, you're going on adventures. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it.
I think part of life when you're young is... so he's saying... let me just go through the question again. So he's saying especially in teenage years where it is viewed as fun to get completely smashed and almost always expected. He wants balance in drinking and training. And I think he almost answered his own question by saying... how do you balance them? And it is about getting a balance. It's not about going all down the fitness route, no alcohol, because you will lose touch with society. And it is quite painful doing that. I don't know if you've done it. I've done it myself. I've took myself out of drinking and drugs and films and music and everything to the point where I'm like, okay, I feel isolated now. So you've got to enjoy those years, because you learn a lot of lessons from drinking, from going out partying, from fighting on the street.
Imbalance though, do you know, like when you do like have way too much and you've been sick or you've had a really wild night that you kind of regret, you've got to go through it. I do feel there's elements of it, and then you get to that stage where you understand balance. You can only understand balance when you've had the excess. So I think that advice I got, I did start going out partying all the time a little bit, because I was like, oh, you said enjoy it. But with doing that, I ended up going, oh no, I don't want this. That's not what I'm actually about, all the partying. So then I came back round to training more, and it fed that fire, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the balance played itself round, because
one fire fed the other fire.
I loosened off.
Yeah, I hear that. And I think as well, though, there is another way to think about it. If you are so focused on fitness and your life and your life goals, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. So you might want to give drinking and stuff a break. I've had many months and years. I've had a year where I did no drinking and nothing like that, and I concentrated on health and fitness, and I loved it, and I learned a lot doing so. But then I went back to drinking a lot as well. So it's just about finding what feels right for you at that moment in your life.
That's a good word, like the feeling.
Yeah.
You got to like let the dust settle yourself, and really know how you're feeling in the present. And if things are fueling you, and you're like, you have been going out every other week and just smashing it as hard as you can with your friends, and you've started to get that, like that reason that question emerged was probably because he's been sat there feeling it bubbling. If you're getting them feelings, you have to work around it, or you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
So,
and you can always, let's say you want to go, because drinking, it's not always about the drinking, it's about the socialising, the reason we go out. We've just along the way conditioned ourselves to believe that we need the alcohol to socialise, and we've associated
yourself.
So what you could do is, what I tend to do is I'll go out and I'll drink soda and lime for a few drinks, and maybe then I'll have a couple of alcoholic drinks. And
good advice, man. I like it.
I can still fit in with the crowd because I've got the drink in my hand. You don't need to let people know. I mean, you could get like a mocktail. You don't have to let people know you're not drinking alcohol, because then the peer pressure dissipates. You just say, yeah, I'm having a drink with the guy, and then you feel like you fit in, because it's just all about fitting in. We like to fit in as human beings. So still go out and socialise. If it's the alcohol that's fucking you up, then just limit it.
I remember, like, and this is kind of recent, but like, a few months ago, people were trying to give me like substance, and I didn't want it, because I know and I was like, I know what fuels me, what doesn't. So but then it kept on. It was like, come on man, do it. But to me, I just like put it in, like took a drink and then took it out and put it in my pocket. And I'm like, well, I've not been pushed down a line I don't want to go down, but I also just made them shut up by just pretending. So having a mocktail is not a bad idea.
Exactly, because sometimes me and Reese went out at the weekend, and we ended up having a few drinks, and we were supposed to be being sober, but we'd met these couple of girls, couple of birds, mate. You know what I mean? And so first time we'd met them as well, and we sat down. We got this soda and lime.
How did that taste?
It was strange. I'd never had one before. And she says, "Oh, you're not going to have an alcoholic drink?" And we caved into peer pressure.
Wow, it's strong though, isn't it?
Strong
and
thing.
Also though, when you're in a vibe and there's a few of you, and you're just really militant and just heavy hitting, like, no, I'm not doing it, and it gets a little bit bitey then, and then the vibe goes down and dies.
Well, this is
just fake it.
Fake it. Well, this is what we ordered a sex on the beach, so there's not a great deal of alcohol in there. So once we drunk the sex on the beach, we felt like the peer pressure had lifted, and we actually felt like we was on their level. But it wasn't because we was drunk, it was because we'd now got involved, and we'd released the tension of, no, we were just drinking soda and limes tonight. So I think it isn't the alcohol again. It's like we've on about this, the situation you're in and trying to fit in, and
that's nice, man. And
not creating resistance with your peers, saying, I'm not drinking tonight, it's bad for you. Oh, look at all you.
When you build a reality in your head before it plays out, then you're structured to it and you're stuck in it. You get a little bit, what's the word? I suppose just stuck in it. I've done it before where I'm like, I don't drink. I create a persona out of it. And then everyone goes, come on, have a little bit, loosen up. And it would sometimes feed me to have a little bit. It would make me a bit calmer on the night. But because I've told myself that in my head, I've played out this reality.
And it's the narrative that you tell yourself that's important. Because if you say, I can't have a drink, I can't, you're building up resistance, because it's like saying, I can't eat chocolate. You're being rigid. Whereas if you say, I don't really fancy it, and then you can still be, or you can, again, do the thing where you have the mocktail. So,
I mean, have you been on a night before where you're drinking and then your mind goes and you're like, I don't want any more, but because everyone is, you just keep fueling it and keep tipping.
Definitely.
So you've nailed it for me on the point of really feel it for yourself, really understand what you're about, what you want from the night, what your experience is being, and then if it's not fueling you anymore, just learn to stop, learn to like know yourself well.
Learn to find a coping mechanism to simmer it down, and again, it's just part of being young. So do enjoy being young, as well as while you're being young, learning the lessons you need to stop the drinking
just,
for when
mate,
you're older.
Enjoy it, go for it, enjoy yourself. I promise you, brother, you'll learn a lot. Just going hammering it.
But train as well, Make sure you look good when you're out partying.
Couple of bench presses a day.
Right, so the second question: if you had the ability to go back and change any decisions you made, would you do it, or do you firmly believe that it's molded you into the person you are today?
Firmly believe that, to be honest, mate. Like that, even earlier, we've got a new table, ladies and gentlemen. We've got this lovely, lush, tiny little table, but the one broke on the weekend. We had a big party, and then you said everything happens for a reason. Because we've actually got a more positive experience out of this smaller table. Yeah, you can get around here more.
Spread my legs
out. I feel
a
little bit closer to you. A bit more
I can
engaged.
see your nuts. You can see mine.
Yeah, that's what it was always about.
So basically, like what you're saying there is that all these things that happen do mold us into who we are today. Well, is there nothing though that you would go back and is there anything you could change? One thing that you think, I wish I hadn't have done that.
I do have to think of that, mate, because I think if you're thinking what ifs in life, you'll just forever be confusing it, and you'll ever be on a cycle of I could have done this, or I should have done that, or I might have been here, or I might have been there, and it breaks the illusion, really. It just like confuses me, because I love where I've got to be honest, in my life. I've made so many silly mistakes and decisions, and had fights and taken drugs and met people I probably shouldn't have done, all that, and searching. But I do what he said at the end of the question. I strongly believe I've only got to this position where I'm at now because of all that.
And it kind of relates to the first question as well. How do you know what you want and don't want in life if you haven't tried to do the things? There are things like I was a bit of a bully when I was young. So I think I was violent towards people who didn't deserve it. So part of me does want to go back and sort of not do that, but at the same time, I can't even say that that's helped me, because by punching people in the face who didn't deserve it, who were weaker than me, that's not made me anything today. I mean, we know that's wrong anyway.
I suppose the only way you can look at that is it's made you know exactly who you never want to be again. And if you've never tried that, if you've never punched somebody in the face,
don't go and try it, guys.
I'm not saying go out there and start punching people, but I've been really nasty before, and having that actual feeling of power over somebody, I hated it. I never wanted to make somebody cry again. I never wanted to make somebody feel that way again. But there may have always been that little bit in my mind to be like, I wonder what it's like to be so dominant over somebody, or so powerful that you...
So I guess anything you do feel that way about in your life that you don't feel, you wish you could change it. Obviously you can't, but think of it in the way that, okay, that's who I don't, like you said, so rightly said. Create the person that you don't want to become, and stay well away from him, and then think, okay, who do I want to become?
From a persona that you've already done as well, from something that you've been through. Because I must admit, I got bullied to shit when I was younger, like really struggled with bullying.
I can see why.
Oh mate, honestly, like school and education was just a complete like battlefield for me. I hated being there. And then I remember I seen the bully recently, and we just crossed paths, and he looked at the floor, and I kind of like walked on like quite proudly, because I like the person I am now. But I just, all this like memories of like the horror he put me through at school and like waiting for the bell to go and then having to peg it home and all that. So going through that, I ended up trying to do it to other people when I got a bit older and trying to impose that. But then I remembered what it did to me. So feeling both the parallels, feeling both of them sides of life, it really made me go down this path and this path.
Yeah, and because we can go back and say there are things that we regret, it means that we are human. Like if you live through life and you've got no regrets at all, something's wrong, because we've all done wrong things, but whether you see them as wrong or not kind of dictates your character. So if you was a bully and you went around hitting people and hit women and stuff, and then I don't regret that. There's something there that there's a bit strange, needs to be looked at, mate, if you ask me. So I think it's good that we have these. It's good to have regrets.
Introspective. You've got to look into your life and go, that was a terrible person. That's who I will never ever become again.
Yeah. So.
And you sort of regret it, but you don't, because it's a part of your journey. And you've experienced it.
It's good to have regrets in terms of it makes you human, but it's also good to. It's also good to understand that that's what makes you who you are today. If you are who you want to be today.
That bully, like that, made me so much of the person again because of that fear. I always remember this little story, but I went to school one day and I had a 3-legged dog called Jake when I was younger, and he was my everything. Like literally, my mum had a dog, I had a dog, sister had a dog. But this one morning,
you only had 3/4 of a dog.
Yeah, I had a bit of a dog. And this one morning, but he was being put to sleep. I'll never forget the pain I felt through that. So my mum didn't want to send me to school, but everyone was like, you just got to send school, get his mind off it, send him. So I went to school one day, and my granddad always said to this bully, if you ever see him, just, put your hand together and put it on his nose and he won't like it. But then I went to school and I remember just hearing this like, oi, fatty. And I turned around and he spat on my face. Really horrible, like a greenie. And I just, knowing my dog had died, the whole like 2 years just ran in my mind, and I just ran at him and just threw everything I got. And
everything
it was
in the arsenal.
Roundhouse
kick.
Ran, punch, kick on the floor. Like, and then the teachers were trying to get me off. I was little Mikey, but I was throwing teachers around, man. I was like, gone into this insane character. And I always like, a part of me like really regretted that. But then when I reflected on it, I wrote about it recently in a poem, and it felt kind of good as well. Like I was like, I learnt a lot in that moment. Like never be bullied around, never be told what to do. It doesn't have to evolve into fighting and aggression and all that, but know your worth and know that you've always got an opportunity to change it round. And that was a big moment for me.
So I think we've definitely covered that question there, Mikey. So right,
escalated, didn't it?
Escalated. Yeah, we got a bit aggressive there, didn't we?
I just wanted to tell a little story about something I was kind of like interested in looking into my past on recently and writing about. But yeah,
man. Right, okay. Third question. I'm in a soul-crushing job that I really hate. I wake up dreading it. However, I've only got a few months left before I can start my dream career. Have you got any advice, mental tricks for those in shitty jobs to help get through it and also stay mentally healthy?
Did you say he's got his dream job in line?
Yep, it is coming up in a few months.
Okay.
I think he's going in the forces, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so travelling the world and just getting on shit, mate. It sounds like he's that kind of guy as well. Funny, actually. So the guy that's asking the questions.
Yeah.
I first met him. He came into the gym I was working at, the leisure centre at Belper, under Club Fit. Now, Club Fit is like for people under the age of 16. So he was like, child, and you have to make sure you're watching over him and all that business. And they had specific times that they could come in. But I seen him, I think he's like 18, 19 now. And I seen him in Gym Fit.
Okay.
And he's actually put some size on there. Repping Gym Fit. Did you make that yourself, the tie-dye?
I did, mate. Yeah, me and Chrissy actually.
I thought so.
Mainly Chrissy. I'm not going to take that away for. Cheers, Chrissy.
So, but yeah, I seen him a few years later, and he's put a lot of size on. So all the chats we had and that, and it's cool. So yeah, the soul crushing job. Well, I can actually answer and relate to this one because I cleaned cars for 4 or 5 years of my life.
Yeah,
and it was devastating. Waking up in the morning. Waking up in the morning, dreading it, and just not wanting to go. Depressed from going there. So he wants advice and mental tricks for those in shitty jobs to help get through it. I think the main thing is if you know that you do not want to be doing that job anymore, you need to find a plan B.
Yeah.
You can't live a life for the rest
or
of your
he's doing
life.
plan B until he gets to plan A.
Yeah. Well, however you want to look at that, but you need to have the alternative ready to go, or you need to be at least learning, educating yourself, ready for the plan A or plan B, the next job. Because if you stay in that shitty job for the rest of your life, you're going to live a miserable life, and you only get one. Then you're going to die. You're going to die miserable. It doesn't sound like a very pleasant life, does it?
Doesn't work for me. But the advice that I'd be giving if it just stayed at, I'm in a really shitty job I hate, what advice do you have? But he's done exactly what I'd tell him to do. Find your passion, go out there, explore, and then have something to go to. But the fact that he's found that is absolutely electric and fantastic.
Yeah, well done to him.
The until point now, I really believe, mate, just grind it out. Like, just stick, have that in mind. You've got your paradise on the way. Like, have that envisionment and just keep going. Just keep going, man. You've got it.
And also, and I'm kind of quoting this off one of the podcasts that I listen to. I think it's Andy Frisella.
Yeah.
And he says, if you're making McDonald's burgers, make sure you're making the best damn McDonald's burgers that you can make. Not for them, but for you as a human. If you're doing a half-arsed job, you're going to be a half-arsed human.
Yeah.
So if you are doing a shitty job, you've got one in line, whatever, make sure you're doing the best job you can and try and find some kind of... what's the word? That word when you achievement. Try and find some kind of achievement out of whatever you're doing, because that will mentally help you. If you feel like you're achieving something on a daily basis, you're going to go home feeling a sense of achievement. You're going to feel good, positive, happy.
Yeah,
Whereas if you're just going in to go in and no, you're going to make yourself miserable.
You can make games out of it, can't you, in the day? I don't know what job it is, but at Thornton, for me, I was packing boxes, but I was making games in my own head of, I'd done like 320 that day. I need to try and do 330 today. And just having little plays and games like that for me made the day go much quicker, because I was like racing myself.
Yeah, and again, you're trying to find some kind of achievement out of that.
That's exactly right.
And also, I think, is create a good social environment. If the job's shit, cool. See if you can connect with people. Learn to connect with people. Learn to talk to people, get to know people. See if you can make their day better, which will in turn make you feel good.
It's great.
Just try and connect with people, because if you're on the same level, you're having a shit time together. It's a lot easier than having a shit time on your own.
I think that's absolutely right, though, because I remember when I was working at Thornton's, and then I'm always...
You were a fudge packer?
Yeah, that's the South Park joke.
Yeah.
I think they have... I can't remember which character it is, but he's trying to come out the closet and he's a fudge packer. South Park, man. But when I was there, I was always in my head... And I'd be layering back, what am I actually doing? Packing boxes. And what's that doing? Giving out chocolates to people. And what's that doing? Making them ill. And they've got just no nutritional value going out, pumping into society. So when I did that, it hurt me a little, because I was like, I'm giving nothing back to the world or life. But what you just said there, if I could have gone, okay, that's doing nothing for me, I'm going to find a way out, but until then I'm going to make connection, I'm going to find a new friend, I'm going to learn about myself by trying to vibe. The only thing that was my problem at Thornton's, when I used to sing on the aisle, because I was like, right, I'm in a shit job, I hate my life, I'm going to make the best out of this situation. So I'd be like dancing, and this boss came over to me one day and he went, what are you doing? I was like, packing chocolates like everybody else. He's like, not like that, you're not. So then I stood there and I'm literally start talking to my aisle, and he come back over and he goes, right, come here you, and put me on my own in a corner, literally doing labels to people that couldn't speak my language. So when it got to that point, I remember on that day, I just threw everything to the side. I literally launched a box and said, fuck this place, I'm out. I needed like the Rocky theme tune in my head.
Yeah, definitely.
But I went home and booked a ticket straight away to Australia, because I didn't just sit there and cry and panic and go, sod this. I had in my head a plan, like you say, B. So the fact that you've got that, Kai, is Kai in it.
Yeah.
Great work, man. Big love to you.
So again, well, just to recap that one, if you haven't got the dream job lined up, start looking for it. Start looking for your passions, and start learning and educating yourself on something that you enjoy. Meanwhile, you want to be creating social connections, seeing if you can make some kind of a game out of it, what it is you're doing, and just trying to find some kind of achievement, doing the best job you can, so that when you do go forward in life, you are the best human being, to take into that job.
I like that what isness. You're there now, so whatever the best you can make that day be, make it.
Yeah.
And that's
and if
great.
you are really unhappy, get out. Like, life's too short to be working shit jobs for a pittance of
Completely.
pay. So, right, next question, Mikey. The phone's dead. The phone's
Oh,
died.
no.
So what was the? Do you remember the last question was? If you, this is going from the top of my head now. If you've got a friend or family who's going down a dark path,
Yeah.
how do you help them? Do you help them, or do you leave them to learn for themselves?
You should absolutely smash that.
I don't know how I did that.
Mate, I'm so proud of you. Well played. Big round of applause to Zach there, man. So I'm helping somebody that's going through hell, basically, and do you help them, or do you let them just find out the answer for themselves?
Can I lead this one?
Please do,
I
man.
feel like my life and job is about
Yeah.
helping people and trying to get them to do things that's better for them, So I think both in moderation, so at the right time.
Yeah.
And when you start helping people and you do it all the time, or you're trying to help people all the time, you learn ways and you learn when people are receptive to help and when they're not. So I'm going to take a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, went through a breakup. Sometimes he's receptive to help. He needs advice. He needs help. But I find with him, I have to get him to ask me for it in a way. He's like, right, I need help. When people say I need help, they are receptive and they're ready to take it on. If you go to, and it depends on how you come across. So if you go, you need to do this and you need to do that, no one's going to listen to shit.
Yeah.
If you're like, look, I know this is probably not what you want to hear right now, but there is a way out of this, and then their ears perk up. So it's all about how you say it. So at the same time, it's important to help them, but also maybe that part of their life is necessary for them to go through so that they can learn their own lessons. And maybe, you don't have to be Jesus Christ and guide everybody or the, Noah's and
Messiah complex.
Yeah, maybe you just do need to. And sometimes I'll take that approach as well. I'll leave people to do their own thing and they'll say, Zach, I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm like, it's okay, you'll learn.
I think our favourite word comes very useful here, but the nuance of life and of people. And like when you're training somebody, Zach, you don't just go, this is a workout plan that I give to everybody and it's the best plan, here you go. Everybody reacts differently. Some people need a listener and just like offload everything they're feeling and everything they're thinking. Some people do need a little bit of direction and they need you to go, right, listen, mate, this isn't fueling your fire. Get rid of that like substance out your diet right now. Stop doing this. And some people need that hard approach, but you really do have to know who you're talking to. And if you can trigger them, I suppose. If you are like shouting, change your life around, do this, do that, they're just going to repel and go the complete opposite way a lot of the time.
I think if you're coming from a perspective of, I want them to change because it's affecting me, then you do bring that energy across. Like, I need you to stop because it's affecting me, it's affecting so-and-so, and the person's like, well, that energy is not doing me any good. But if you go in with, your intention is to actually help them and to like, look, I want you to be the best you can, and I hate seeing you hurt, and I'm doing this because I love you. It's coming from a different place. It's the same thing coming from a different place. So yeah, you do have to know who you're talking to. You have to know and how to talk to them and what mood are they in. And there's so many variables.
That's the interesting thing, because even that person on a daily basis, it's going to change how you approach them. Some days they really need a pep talk, and some days they just need an ear.
Yeah.
So becoming just aware of them, and mainly start out with listening, taking in all the information you're getting given, and then you can usually work out but the first start for me is listening and taking that.
By listening as well. Say you come to me with a problem and I just listen. Sometimes you can talk yourself into the help, into the conclusion.
Yes.
So because you'll say, I really need to start eating healthy, or I really need to do this, and because you've said it, you've sent the thought to your brain. That thought's simmering around in your brain now, and you might actually start subconsciously acting on that thought.
That's the same with education, isn't it? If you've got it in your heart, you want to learn something, the information's going to stick much better than being told something. And like when you're at school, like regurgitating it, some people are good at that. Some people are good at being told, this is what this is, this is what this is. Okay. And then they could regurgitate that. But most people needed to find that for themselves.
Yeah. And when you're learning something, like you said, you need to want to learn it.
Yeah.
Because then something must happen in the brain that when you want it, you're passionate about it. Things
driven.
Open up. Yeah, you're driven. Things open up in the brain and allow you to take it on board. So just to go back to the question, if someone that you care about is going down a dark path, help them as best you can. Listen to them. See if, once you've listened, see if there's anything that you can say. Careful of how you say it. Come from a loving place, not an angry place. And also just remember that we are all learning on this journey.
And interestingly, man, one thing on that point, like I love that Buddha quote, but be the change you want to see. If you're sort of like in a good energy around them and you're being like quite positive person, quite supportive, but like having an enjoyable experience, they might navigate to that. Sometimes I don't want to go and talk about all my problems and how I'm feeling. I just want to be in good energies.
Yeah, so influence.
So yeah, be the change you want to see sometimes.
100%. Wicked. And that is all of the questions answered, I think. We can
muster up now because your bloody phone's died. But I think that was
4?
It. Yeah.
I think we're missing one, but I can't remember that one.
Well, 4 at times, man. I think that's so we've found our little question answer limit.
So guys, if you've got any, first of all, we hope those questions helped you in some way, maybe to see a new way of looking at things, or maybe to deal with trials and tribulations that you're going through. If you've got any questions, anything you want help and advice on from me and Mikey, who's going to want help and advice? Can you imagine? Drop us a message.
You must really be going through something, guys.
Yeah, you must be really desperate. Share this podcast. You're on the journey with us. Let's get everybody else on the journey. And if you want to add anything to that, Mikey.
Honestly, guys, I'm just really enjoying it. It's good to be back on the horse, as they say, mate.
It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? It's been a hot minute. So, okay, until next time, guys. Thank you.
Peace and love, guys. One love.